Hello, it's Debbie Gilbert here from the Business Awards show, and I'm also the founder and organizer of the Best Business Women Awards. And today I am joined by Sophie Preston Hall from Catering Elite, who are a recruitment company exclusively for the hospitality industry. And Sophie has won multiple awards over her 20 years in business. So we're going to be talking a bit about her business, the challenges that she's faced, especially over the recent years, and all about those all-important award wins. So welcome, Sophie.
Hi, Debbie. Thanks for having me on.
Lovely to meet you. So tell us a bit more about Catering Elite.
So, Catering Elite is a hospitality and catering specialist. We only deal with the hospitality and catering industry because that was the industry that I came from. I have a very top-heavy working knowledge, and all of my consultants and everybody who works in my offices, they have to come from a very strong hospitality industry background. And we supply to various different sports grounds, wedding venues, hotels, restaurants, public houses, basically anybody that needs catering staff.
So all manners of catering staff, from literally kitchen hands right up to chefs and things?
Absolutely. We are very top heavy with front of house and or chefs is predominantly our mainstay. However, if you ask for it, we will build it, we will find it for you. So I mean, if somebody comes and asks me for a baker, I will go and recruit them a baker, that kind of stuff. But we have an amazing front of house function team who we have built as a team, and we believe that that is our USB. That if one of our units comes to us and says, I need a chef de partie with pastry experience, or I need an executive head chef, we know what we're looking for.
Fantastic. So 20 years ago, you set this business up. So what inspired you to start it?
So I had been working in the hospitality and catering industry, as I've said, both as a temp and permanently throughout my career already at that stage. And I'd, like a lot of people who come into recruitment, I'd fallen into recruitment by accident. And I'd got a little bit cross finding that people were using the hospitality and catering recruitment sector a little bit as a cash cow. And they were just putting arms and legs in rather than making sure that the people that they were sort of resourcing and placing were of the standard that the clients needed. So it was literally as simple as that. I wanted to do something predominantly for that sector with people who had industry knowledge.
Wow. So you saw a need and you decided to fill that gap, because there aren't that many catering companies, recruitment companies in catering recruitment, are there?
No, it's a very niche sector. There are a lot of agencies who have a desk, for want of another description, and a consultant within that office. But rarely do they have the industry knowledge that we have. For instance, my office manager at one of my other offices he's a chef. So he has a very, very, very strong chefing background. I don't do it so much anymore, but I have done a lot of temping within the agency myself. So especially when we first started, I would go and work a lot of the shifts myself, just to get the inner workings and the inner knowledge of the clients. And I'm really lucky that a lot of our clients have been with us years, not months. Our longest running clients have actually been with us 20 years.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's talk about awards for a bit, because it is the Business Award show.
Okay.
When did a Business Awards first sort of hit your radar?
Really early on, if I'm honest. My first award that I won was for Shell Livewire, because when I first started the company, Debbie, I had no prior business experience at all. So I contacted a few outside sources. The Prince's Trust were amazing, as were Business Link. And unfortunately, I don't think they're operating anymore, an entity called Shell Livewire. And I entered their awards, which was and I was very lucky to win the Young Entrepreneur, that's how long ago it was, of the Year award for Shell Livewire. And that was about a year into trading.
Fantastic. So that
actually.
kind of
So
gave
yeah.
you an appetite for awards, and you could obviously
Oh
see
yes.
it. So then what was your strategy after that?
Um, I use it for many things, really. I use it as part of our marketing budget. So it's almost the only marketing budget that we have because we are so niche. Because I feel that it lets our clients know that they are dealing with somebody that knows what they're doing, and they take us a little bit more seriously, because the recruitment and employment sector is unregulated. Anybody can set one up. So we are members of the Recruitment and Employment Confederation, and we like to do the awards. It's also an accolade to our staff, because they know that all their hard work is appreciated as well. Networking, I mean, especially at your awards, Debbie, I've met some amazing inspirational women, which has really geared me on, and has, because it can be very lonely being an entrepreneur, especially I think a female entrepreneur. And I must say, the awards that we attended last year was just phenomenal, and has really cheered me on and given me some amazing ideas, given me some brilliant inspiration, and I've met some fantastic inspirational women. So yeah, those are the main reasons, I would say.
So you've done Essex County Awards, haven't you, as well?
Yeah, we've been very, very lucky to have won several awards over the years with Essex County Awards, including Businesswoman of the Year and Small Business of the Year. Small Business of the Year, my late father managed to attend with me, actually, and it was shortly before we lost him, so that one's a very special one to my heart. I've now moved sideways with the Essex County Awards, and I was very privileged to be a judge last year for the
Oh,
first
wow.
time. It was my first judging, and it was just, I loved it. I loved every single second of it, and it was really interesting to see it from the other side of the table.
So, as a judge, what did you think? I mean, what sort of things did you spot that you thought, oh, people shouldn't do that, or that's a great idea? What sort of things did you see?
In short, passion, I would say. I was judging the new business category, which was the one that I'd asked for.
Mhm.
And I loved every single second of it, and I loved seeing these new businesses sprouting, especially after the last 2 years that we've all had as well, and that people are not shying away from setting up their own companies, because it's scary and it's difficult. um, but passion. I had sad to say, I did. I know it's busy. Everybody's busy doing their own businesses, but there was a couple of entries where they just hadn't. There possibly one line for every question,
Mm.
and there was no content. There was no passion. It seemed more like a tick box exercise. So one of the biggest things that I would say is try and put as much content as you can, and try and put as much of yourself in as you can, so that it really shines through.
Yeah, great advice. I mean, we see entries like that all the time, or people copy and paste off their website, for example, and don't think that that's going to be spotted by the judges. And you don't do
Mm.
yourself justice when you don't put enough information in. You should use as much of the word count as you possibly can.
No, absolutely. I mean, when I'm doing my entries, I literally I word count all the time, and I try and do and put in as much as I possibly can. And don't forget that as a judge, people will go onto your website, and they will go onto your social media, and have a browse through and see about sort of what you've been posting, and how long you've been trading. So
Mm.
one of the entries I disregarded for new business of the year category had clearly was not a new business. He'd been going for a little while,
I hadn't read the
whether
rules.
he'd reset up or not, but I didn't class that as a new starter.
No. So the hospitality industry obviously hit the skids during the pandemic. How on earth did you cope with that?
Oh, crikey. Well, I think the first day I sat in my hot tub drinking Prosecco, crying quietly, thinking, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And then I put my big girl pants on and realized that no, it wasn't a rubbish virus with a silly name wasn't going to take me down. So yeah, I just had to mothball it as much as possible. I took the VAT holiday that we were all offered, but I paid it back monthly because I didn't want a massive, great big bill at the end of it. There wasn't, because we weren't classed as hospitality either, there wasn't a great deal of grants out there
Because you were
for us.
classed as recruitment.
Absolutely. And we were not told to shut. So it was really frightening. Contacted as many care homes as we could lay our hands on, to see if they needed help, and a few of them did, which was lucky. Schools as well, and the out to help out. We supply to a lot of restaurants, so it was a wing and a prayer, and it was a lot of treading water. But my team and I came through it, and we're bouncing back bigger and better than ever, I'm pleased to say.
Well done. I mean, that's quite an ingenious plan, really, to think about the Eat Out to help out, the schools, the care homes. All of these people obviously needed staff when the rest of hospitality was shut down. And we were classed the same. We do events, but we weren't classed as hospitality. Even
I know, it was just terrifying, wasn't it?
50% of our revenue comes from events. So, we argued the case, but we were just told, no, you're not hospitality. You're not serving food and drink. Just because you organise events doesn't mean that you come under that banner. So it was a very grey line for a lot of us, I think, and a very difficult time. So over the 20 years you've been in business, I mean, that probably was the most horrendous challenge. But what other challenges have you faced, do you think?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say there's been quite a few, actually. It's as I touched upon earlier, it's very lonely being an entrepreneur and in business for yourself, because if things go wrong, you can't just walk out and get another job. It's I've now weathered a worldwide recession as well, and we're heading into another one. So this will be my second recession, and the pandemic. And then you have to think about all the day-to-day things that hit you, divorce, bringing up children.
How have you juggled
everything.
your children around your business?
I've only got one, and he's really good, actually, and he understands that mum never had to miss a sports day, but I will quite often fiddle with my phone while I'm there. So it was very swings and roundabouts. I mean, the upside of being self-employed is that I've never had to say no to him. I've never had to say, no, mummy can't make the school play, or I can't make the sports day, or whatever. But I do have my phone with me continuously, which I think you realised at an event we were at last week, where I had to apologise profusely while tapping on my phone the entire time. And I'm always working. For instance, we're going on holiday next week for Christmas, but I will still be working.
Yeah, and it is sometimes a juggle, and I think technology has allowed us to be able to do that, because I know when I started my business, the internet was just in its infancy. Mobile phones were used for sending 120 character text messages. So when I look at the evolution, it's enabled us to be able to be there for our children. I'm the same as you. I wanted to be at Gates. I wanted to be at the plays and the sports days and all that sort of thing. And I always was. But being able to use your phone and do stuff on your phone now sort of is the big thing with entrepreneurship. It means you can literally have your business in your pocket, which is great.
No, absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, and like you, my first ever recruitment job was in Golden Square. I'd never done it before in my life. I'd fallen into it by accident, and they gave me a desk, a filing cabinet, a telephone, and a Yellow Pages.
I remember.
And back then you advertised in the Yellow Pages, and you advertised for staff in the Standard, and people wrote in and they sent in CVs. I mean, it was like snail mail back then.
Well, for anyone listening to the podcast who has not a clue what the Yellow Pages is, it's a big, thick directory that you could probably actually kill a person if you whacked them over the head with it. It was that big. So, Sophie, I know customer service is really important to you, and
massively.
You won awards for that. So how do you keep those customers happy and coming back to you? Because 20 years to have a customer is a hell of a long time.
Well, yeah, and I'm very I feel very privileged to have it, but it's not been easy, and it's we have worked hard at it. Without sounding too Roy Castle-ish, and there'll be people that don't get that reference either. It's dedication, I would say. So myself and my consultants are all on call 24 hours a day, because although the offices run office hours, catering doesn't.
No.
So, if somebody texts us in or phones us at 9 o'clock on a Friday night, those calls will be answered. We do have to try and limit it to say only come to us out of hours if it's an emergency, but we are contactable 24/7, 365 days a year. And that's not only my consultants, that's myself included,
Yeah.
because you have to be. I don't understand catering agencies that aren't. We also do a lot of the check-ins. So I'll check, and technology has helped that tremendously as well. So I do check in my staff remotely now if I'm not able to be there on site. So I'll get them to a WhatsApp in when they're either at the meeting point or the venue that they're going to.
Fantastic.
And it's maintaining the standards. We don't always get it right. The difficulty again with hospitality is that personalities are a massive, massive thing. So one client might absolutely adore my chef, and the next client, it might just be a personality clash. So it's just keeping in, and you don't get that. I don't think that you get that with administrational or industrial or clerical recruitment. So we have had that where a client has sort of said, oh, I don't think so and so suited to us, whereas everybody else absolutely adores that particular client, that particular temp. And so you have to keep on top of that. And just, it's like a massive logistical puzzle what we do. You have to look at who will go where, who won't do what, and who prefers to work with who. And yeah.
Yeah, pardon the pun, but there's quite a lot of plate spinning going on.
Yes, yeah, I do have to. I must admit there is a lot of throwing balls in the air and keeping them there at one time.
Okay,
Yeah,
well, 20 years, long time in business. I mean, that is an incredible, length of time, because so many businesses go out of business within the first 5 years. So 20 years is a
thank
remarkable
you.
achievement.
Yeah, I've read the stats. Yeah.
So share some of your wisdom with our listeners. So what would you say that's kind of kept you going? What's been the one thing that's really kept you powering forwards?
Wow. Okay. I think listening really, and watching. So I listen to my clients' wants and needs as well as my temps. My door is always open. If they've got a problem, they can always come to me. If something needs changing, I'll change it if it's within my power. Watching industry trends as well. Currently, especially coming out of the pandemic, I seem to be taking on a consultant's role, and I don't mean recruitment consultant. So a lot of clients are coming to me and asking me about salary expectations and what they should be offering and what they shouldn't be offering. And we keep our ear to the ground. I think the pandemic has changed many things in many industries, and in ours massively. I think that the working free trial, I think, is on the way out, and I've got to say I agree with that one.
Definitely.
Split shifts are also becoming a thing of the past, and I've had to politely explain that to a couple of clients. We don't do split shifts anymore, and we haven't for quite some time. And I've had to politely explain to a lot of clients that chefs just won't work them anymore. They don't want to start at 10 and finish at 10 with a 4-hour break in the middle, and who can blame them?
Too
But then
much.
the way that the industry is going as well, I think that it's right that they're a thing of the past, because sometimes now people want to eat at 3 o'clock in the afternoon or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. They don't want their eating establishments closing down at 2:30 and opening up again at 7. So so I would just say be adaptable. Make
Yeah,
sure that your business model is adaptable and you're adaptable.
fantastic. That's a great line to end on today. Thank you so much for joining me. Sophie, it's been a pleasure talking to you about the catering and hospitality industry,
Thank you.
because you've opened my eyes up to a few things today as well.
Well, it's been a pleasure here, and thank you for asking
And
me.
we wish you continued success with your business.
Thank you, and to you.
Thank you.